This is the last of the bobbin threads I'm going to talk about. This is Razzle Dazzle. This is Ricky Tim's thread. It's a very thick, heavy, metallicized polyester. You can only use it in your bobbin, but you can also use it as a couching thread, which means you're laying it on top of your quilt and then doing a decorative stitch over the top of it. You wind a bobbin with Razzle Dazzle the same that you do with the halo. You're going to put your spool up here. You're going to miss this tension spring. I've wrapped the thread around the bobbin. I'm going to push the gear and then wind it, and I'm moving my fingers up and down in order to give a flat wind to the bobbin. That's going to give my bobbin a little bit of extra tension since I held on to it, and it's also a good flat wind. The next thing that I do is I put it in my bobbin case, and then in this case I'm adding bottom line to the top of my quilt sandwich. I have my Razzle Dazzle loaded in my bobbin case. I have pulled it through my quilt. You'll see that I'm quilting this upside down. The front of my quilt sandwich is facing down. The back of my quilt sandwich is facing up. This is the only way I can add this thread to the top of my quilt. So holding those threads, I've also chosen a larger design to quilt. This is a heavy, thick thread. It does much better with a looser design. But you can see how easy it is to quilt, even though it's a very difficult thread. And we'll just finish that off. I'm going to leave a long tail, and this is how the front comes out. The long tail will be tied off, pulled through to the back, and then the tails will be threaded through my quilt sandwich so I don't get any ravelly edges. Let me show you two more samples of ways that you can use this thread. I just showed you free motion. This is Razzle Dazzle with the walking foot. I set my stitch length longer, and I also loosened my top tension, which allowed my top thread to show through on the Razzle Dazzle. So if you chose a metallic or a glitter or some fun bright thread, you can add little dots of thread to the back. I purposely did not bury my thread ends. I wanted to show you what happens when you don't. That's when you get all the little ravelly, ragged edges. But let's say you're an art quilter and you want to add texture. This is how you do it. You can do your Razzle Dazzle, you can trim the edges, and then you get the nice little furry textures that you can add to flowers and such. I spoke earlier how you can use Razzle Dazzle as a couching thread. All this means is that you're going to take the thread, you're going to lay it down on your quilt. In this case, I set my decorative stitch to a long, narrow zigzag, and I added a rainbow's thread in the top, and then I did a zigzag over the top. You can see how I added a decorative touch to my seams using the Razzle Dazzle. So when you're using this thread, don't be afraid to use it because it's heavy. Use it as a bobbin thread, use it as a couching thread. You want to wind your bobbin slowly using your finger, missing this tension spring. You can use smooth polyester thread in the top. I chose bottom line. You can use the trilobal polyesters such as highlights, and I've used metallic too. So have fun with this thread. It's really a joy to use.